It's official, Brock here. It's official, Brock here.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the It's Official Brock's Here podcast presented by Brock Lane Films. Today we have Brighton Halstead.
Thank you so much for having me, bro. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
He came the whole way from California just for this podcast.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Just for right now.
Right.
Specifically right now, Brock.
Right.
That's why I'm here.
Not for your brother's graduation.
No,
not
sir.
Not to see your family. Just for this.
Strictly for the pod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've actually been talking about this for a while to get you on here.
We have, yes.
So, yeah, man. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it. Just a little intro of Brighton. Right now he's going to Bethel Music School.
Bethel Music School. It's called BSSM. It's in Redding, California. So in the northern side of California.
Right.
Very up there toward like Oregon. So it's
Wow.
Very north.
Any trips to Oregon yet?
I have, yeah.
Nice.
I went to. It was like 2 years ago, maybe. I went to Portland for a little youth event. Somebody picked me up and they were like, "Hey, you drum, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I drum." They're like, "Well, we're doing a youth conference." They're like, "And we need a drummer, so come out."
Wow.
And me being me, I was just like, "Heck yeah, let's do it." So,
nice.
Yeah, that's.
Awesome, man.
That was my trip to Portland. It's beautiful, bro. It's so weird. Like everybody's fashion's incredible, but it was. I was blessed to be a part of it.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's out there in California at school. You're going into 3.
I'm going into year number 3. We will see. I have a few options open for me, just to kind of feel things out. But a lot's happening right now.
Right.
Just figuring out what's next. So, yeah.
Yeah. But real quick, so I met Brighton on the football field.
You did.
This is just a story of his heart and, what the love of God looks like. But, I was filming for York High. It was the year that Dejour and all those guys, and they had this crazy season. But it was game 2, and Brighton came up to me and was like, I came out for football because I watched your videos.
Yeah.
And I was just like, whoa, like nobody has ever told me that.
Yeah.
Nobody has ever like given me any type of recognition like that.
Dude.
And so it was definitely just like a cool moment that I'll never forget. And like, we'll forever like have that, connection. And, I related to him a lot. We talked about this before this, but like I was on a football team at Southwest where we were really good, went to second round of districts, and I didn't play because I simply was not good enough because the team was so
it's
good.
Tough, dude.
Like we had crazy all-star guys that could get the job done, and I was just not up to that caliber. So I related to him so much because he was on this crazy football team. People breaking records and stuff. And so to be able to stand on the sideline and you just have to watch.
Yeah.
Like it's tough, but then like you said, you were thankful to be there.
Dude, it was such a privilege to like be able to just be on the sidelines and be there. I remember, like we were talking for a minute before this.
We talked an hour and a half before this.
Yeah, we got like a whole podcast before this.
I should have recorded
this kind of happened, but I remember I was kind of just in middle school and then farther on in high school, I would just stay up so late on like my little iPod Touch at the time, and I would just get lost in like videos of people that just like they're living out their dream and doing things that like inspired me. And I was in like the transitional season of like I grew up homeschooled like my entire life, and I would never touched public school sports ever. And my option was, because of the county I lived in was York, so it was York County, and the high school was York High, and basically I like kind of did some digging. I eventually ran track for York High in junior year. Honestly, I forget what year that was, but I ran track, so I kind of got a feel.
16?
Something like that. I kind of got a feel for like how public school sports worked. So my passion was in football growing up. Even though me, like 135 pounds, I was like, hey, I love football, but we're gonna see how far that can go.
That was like me.
And I did some digging, and I found this guy, and he like made really good videos, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna binge watch all these videos of these kids playing football. I was like, okay, this guy's like really good at his craft, really good at what he does. And I stayed up for hours just watching like Dorsey's season and just watching how crazy that was. And like you would release like these full like hour and a half ones.
Wait, so the
like,
guy was me.
yeah, and I would just sit there and I watched him and I was like, I can do this. Like I always wanted to play football. I was like, I can try.
Yeah.
And basically that kind of gave me the fire that I needed under my belt to even get out on the field and like say hi to the coaching staff and everything like that. And it really set me up for success, even though there wasn't much of the turf that I touched, but it really locked me in for like the rest of my life, just with motivation and believing in yourself. It was a beautiful moment. So props to this guy for putting those videos out, because I mean, if it weren't for those videos, I don't know if I would, be where I'm at. But
Right.
yeah, exactly.
Wow, bro, that's an amazing story.
It's so awesome.
How did you even like approach the coaching staff about playing, or like did your parents do it, or?
Oh my goodness. Like growing up, I was so small. I was so tiny.
Right.
I was a little kid. Like soccer and track were like my best. That was like what I was good at. Like just quickness and like distance was what I was good at. And I remember I like came to mom and dad and I was like, Mom, it's like I really want to play football. And this was like in freshman year, and they were like, no, like you're going to get destroyed. Like you're going to get absolutely ruined out on the field if we put you against these kids that are like just drinking their milk every day.
Right.
And you're just this little thing. So on my parents' side, they were very fearful of just putting me on a field like that with pads and being able to get absolutely like destroyed. But it was up until senior year that they finally were like, okay, like if he really wants to, we'll let him like just give it a shot.
Like,
but
of all years,
I know. I'm like thinking in my head, I'm like, if I started freshman year, I'd be in the NFL right now. Right. Of course. Right, but no, there were conditions to what I was allowed to do. But I was like, I'm gonna go to be a kicker. And that was like the secret that I told my parents. I was like, I'm just going to be the kicker. It's going to be okay. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to get touched. Like, I'm just going to be the kicker. And I'd show up to practice. Like, I met Stoner. And Stoner, amazing coach. Oh, my gosh. I showed up, and he was just kind of asking me, he was like, okay, what do you like? I was like, I like to catch the ball.
Oh.
I was like, I like to catch the ball.
I was like, kick.
I was like, but I can kick too. Oh. And then he was like, all right, so we're gonna line you up and let you kick a little bit. But that's kind of how I approached everything. Stoner was like, he was very just like super chill. He probably knew he was like this little guy, showing up. Right. But it was just kicker is what got me in, and I tried to branch out, but it was more just a learning experience for me, at least in terms of football. Yeah. Right.
And like, I mean, all sports in general teach you so many life lessons, but like football teaches you like so many life lessons.
So many.
Especially from a guy like Stoner. And then we were talking off camera, like for that to be your first and only year of high school football, like they literally went to the third round of districts, like, and to have that success was probably the best.
I mean, it was
best experience.
Yeah, it was super gnarly. Like I was telling him, I was like, I probably touched the varsity field like twice, like my whole senior year. I mean, just for obvious reasons, but I was so passionate on like being there, cutting out time to be at practice and just like attending,
Right.
strictly because I was like so thankful to be a part of like what Stoner had going on and like the rest of the team. And it was like, it was so much more. Like, I know it's a cliche line, but it was really so much more than football.
Right.
Like I would go in the locker room and I'd see like plates of food being handed out.
Wow.
And like looking around, be like, oh, like this is like gonna be like my only meal sometimes. And I'm like, and I'm getting this from like my football team and my football family.
Yeah.
And like for these other guys, this might be like their only meal of the day because they've been
Right.
at school and
Right.
headed right to football. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, this like it goes so much deeper
Yeah.
than just surface level sport.
Right. It's
So-
like they built that family atmosphere there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pivotal. So good.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, for that to be your first experience, like that is just like
Oh my goodness. I
First
was like their number one fan. Like I was
Yeah.
suited up every game, but I was like I was just like, I'm so happy to be here. I get
Yeah.
to witness this from like a sideline point of view, not just
Yeah.
in the stands.
right.
Dad still showed up. Shout out Dad.
Yeah.
Even though like I didn't play, he was just like,
Yeah.
go York High, because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was go York High.
That's awesome.
But no,
Yeah.
to get to see like Dejour's year, Rob's year, and
Yeah.
like everybody else just killed it so good.
Yeah.
Like it was a privilege, and I don't think I really knew how good I had it that year until like just like looking back into like pre-years and then post-years, just like of how pivotal that was for like our county. And
Oh my god, yeah.
yeah, so good.
Yeah. It brought like so much joy to the city
Yeah.
when there's like not that much.
No, I know. I remember the last playoff game that we had. It was the one in the, where was that? It was
You're talking about the Cocalico?
Cocalico. When
Yeah.
we came home, because it was a long drive. We came home,
That's far.
like got on the bus. Everybody was silent. Like everybody's super quiet. I don't know if
Oh,
anybody's
man.
told you this, but like everybody was super quiet on the bus. Lights were out. Like sun went down. Nobody was like talking because we were so confident in our year. Like everybody was, and we pull into Smalls Field, and there is like, I don't even know. There's like over 100 people with like signs. Has anybody?
Whoa.
You-
I think I've heard about that.
Yeah, there were like
Yeah.
there were so many families and like so many like siblings of players
Wow.
and just everybody to like give the players hugs on
Wow.
like coming out of the bus.
Right.
And like I was a wreck. Like I was crying even though like, you know, I was just there yelling my heart out, but I
Right.
was like, oh my god,
Yeah.
this is my team. We just
Yeah.
came home. I think the mayor was there. When I'm not even joking. I like
Bro, the mayor?
yeah, and I
Wow.
like I remember I like got out of the bus. My dad was outside. I like hugged Stoner, and
Yeah,
like, he saw
yeah.
me a wreck,
Yeah.
and he was like, "It's gonna be all right, bro. It's gonna be
Yeah.
good." We had a killer year,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was so good, bro.
Yeah, that year was nuts, man. That was kind of like my like breakout year. I mean, Dorsey's year was amazing, but like no one really knew me. And then like that's when like I got the whole like it's official Brock's here.
Yeah.
Like they like Dejour and all them like
That little timestamp.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the fact that it's like still on YouTube, like people can
Mhm.
go back and watch it, and like sometimes I'll go back and watch it, like I'll watch Dejour's video, and then I'll see like Toby's video pop up,
Mhm.
and like Rob, and then I'm like it's like an hour later, and I'm like watching my own videos.
You're like, bro, who made all
yeah,
these?
dang,
Dude?
these videos are really good.
They're like, these are fire.
Yeah. So yeah, man, that was just such like a cool moment in time, and like the fact that I'm still doing it, I'm
Mhm.
still there. I think this will be like my 7th season doing
You're in it, bro.
Yeah, and it's just like I get so much joy out of it because of like the reactions I get from the kids, and
Yeah.
being able to help the kids, you know, possibly get into school because
seen
of like
even.
get seen, and
Yeah.
like there's just so many benefits, and it's not for me. Like if I was doing this for me, I would have quit a long time ago.
Mhm.
Like it's for it's really for the city and for the kids, and it shows because it's like people show love,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, it's super cool. And then in later years to find out that I meet your parents years later, like a year ago.
Yeah,
and
man.
now I'm like I love your dad, dude.
Yeah, he's great.
And like
He's great.
his heart is just so amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it's clear that like he's your dad, because like you, like, dude, you're like one of the nicest kids ever.
Is it that obvious?
It's very obvious.
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
It's very obvious.
I don't know if it's a good thing or
No,
a bad
it's
thing,
good.
guys.
It's good because his dad's freaking awesome.
No, he's great. He's awesome.
And his dad does the whole flag football thing.
He does.
So then, were you involved with that as a kid, right?
I was, yeah. He that's kind of how my vision for like football in my head kind of started. Obviously, you're not gonna go D1 from playing flag football.
Right.
You know what I mean? But yeah, that's kind of where like the passion started. My dad, he was just like, he was a big football fan as well, and he was like, I could coach flag football. So he ran me through like, I think we did like 3 years of flag football together, and he was my coach. Went to like there was like a local I don't know, organization that had just a ton of teams come out and you could play. But yeah, it was a blast. That's kind of where like the spark started, that I was like, oh, I really want to play football. Like I could totally play football.
Right.
You know what I mean? But yeah.
Awesome, man. And then you talked about it, but like, what was it like growing up being homeschooled? Because y'all are a different breed.
Different breed.
For sure.
There's a ton of like, you could see it as like just some Amish living, kind of like just like sitting back, it's just you, mom, and curriculum. And a lot of it is that, like a lot of it is just very like, intimate, and it's just like kind of you and your family. But for me, like my mom, she's so social, like she's very like out of the box, and she loves creativity. And for me, like there were like pivotal points growing up that I was like, okay, I can talk at church, I can talk on Wednesday nights, I can talk to people like when we go out or like something like that. So it wasn't difficult for me to like find like some little friends here and there just growing up. But honestly, I really feel like homeschooling, like, it can be like awkward, and you can like it's like a little looked down upon from a lot of like, just like, of at least my vision was in middle school and high school. They're like, you're homeschooled? Right. Like, are you okay, bro?
Yeah.
Like, are you sure?
Yeah.
But for me, it was like, oh, you're homeschooled? Like, I never would have thought you were homeschooled.
Because that's all you knew.
That's all I knew. And, but it was a blessing, dude. Like, I genuinely, I really wouldn't want it any other way. Like, obviously, there's so many, like, pros to public school and, like, the social aspect of public school. But, like, for me, I didn't really let that hold me back, because I was like, oh, I'm hungry to talk to people. I'm hungry to shake hands when I see people. Yeah. And I didn't really box in my vision and my dreams, I guess, just because, like, I didn't have so many outside sources kind of critiquing my next move. Right. And it, like, kind of started me, and I was like, oh, I can make a clothing brand. And I didn't have, like, any, like, hardcore bullies, up my ass to be like, hey, you can't do that. It's not going to be cool.
Yeah, true.
I mean? Yeah, so I was just like, oh, I can step out of the box. Like, I'm comfortable to
dude,
do
like,
something.
Because you're not going to get bullied by your mom.
No, mom's going to be like, Brighton, tap in, She's going to be like, yes,
I thought about that. Like, you don't get bullied in homeschool.
Listen, I mean, you can.
I mean, when you went to maybe the co-ops.
If you're disrespectful, mom will.
Oh, true,
True. She'll get you right real quick.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But yeah, it was. I think it has translated to, like, why I am the person that I am today.
Right.
It's very, like, I really do believe and like so many things can happen to you, obviously, just including Jesus in your life, and like keeping your faith, and like just putting love at the forefront of like your mind and your tongue, and whatever you like just put your mind to and go crazy at, that is what is going to like make the difference in your life. It's just don't let the outside sources get into your inside self.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, because like in public school, like, dude, you're so influenced by your friends and
big time.
So many different things. Like,
yeah, I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess.
Like, bro, I never told this story. I might have told like one other person, but like in high school, I got which is funny because I have my ears pierced now. But I remember I got
That's what I'm talking about.
I got my ears pierced in like 10th grade, and my one friend was like, "Dude, like, why'd you get like, dude, you look like a girl."
You're like, bro, that's gay.
Yeah, that's so gay. And then I like went home and I took them out and I told everybody that they got infected.
Bro.
But really, it was because that kid
He was
like,
on you
made
about
fun
it.
of me, and like I let that, you know, whatever the word is, I let that like affect me, affect me. And like if I was homeschooled, you know, I would have just been like, whatever, like,
Yeah.
I would have, you know, not let that get to me. But yeah, a lot of you know, bad influence or influence from your friends, like, dude, can really like deter you from just doing what you want to do.
It can, like,
simple
people,
things.
Yeah, exactly. The people, I mean, so many people know this, but it's like whoever you surround yourself with, you are going to become like a product of that, or at least in a way.
Yep.
And you're going to reflect kind of what your intake is just on life, and like your social, just your intake of content, and you know, you're gonna reflect that amongst like the other people that you're around. And like for me, it was like a lot of my family, and I mean, you know, my family, like I just had really good intake just growing up, and then as I'm like branching out into like it wasn't hard for me to like get some friends and like get into friend groups, and like even in then I was like, you know, I'm accepted, you know, from, I know who I am because I've just built up with that just that perspective. Like, I know who I am, my family knows who I am. I'm not going to like sit down or like back up for anybody. And like I know where I'm at, and it and yeah, it just helps you in the long run just with embracing who you are and just going crazy that way. So
it's like you had a firm foundation of love.
Yeah.
Like you had so much love around you.
Yeah.
And like it's clear.
Yeah.
Clear that that's what you
It's so important. If you don't have people that like, if you look around yourself and you can't find people that like genuinely love you, it's you can just sit with yourself and be like, okay, I need to take some time, and I need to really like reflect on myself, reflect who I'm hanging out around, and be like, okay, are these people like genuinely loving me, and they're for me, and they're for my dreams? Find those people, get those people around you, because it'll pay off. Like with whatever you're doing in life, it's gonna pay off.
Right.
Huge.
Yeah, that's huge. Because I think so many people get into these friend groups and then they feel like that's the end all be all.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like, dude, you're not. Nobody is forcing you for this friendship.
Nobody.
Like, you don't have to be friends with this person just because you've been friends for 10 years. Like, if it's toxic, it's toxic.
You gotta go, bro.
You gotta cut it off. So wow, that's a good perspective on like homeschooling, and because you could. So at what point, like, while you were homeschooled, did you like figure out about public school? Like, when was like first like
that I figured out about public?
Yeah.
Like at least
that's what I want to know.
I mean, like, that's a good question from just an outsider. Yeah. I was always aware. Like, I was always aware, just like from going to like church and like just, youth group growing up.
Yeah, because you'd be at church and then people would be like, oh, I go to this school.
Yeah.
And you're like, what's
I'm
that?
like, huh? Or like,
what's a school?
Yeah. I remember like first getting in, like I guess when it made sense in my head that there were like other county, like school districts and stuff, of just like, okay, there's all these other schools around me, blah blah blah, is like I had a crush on this girl like way back in like high school, and I was like, oh, she goes to like Northeastern. I was like, okay, that's a school. And then I would go to John Rudy Park with my mom, and I was like, I think I'm in Northeastern area.
Shoot.
Like I was like in middle school or something. Yeah. And
this is before phones. Like,
this is before. Yeah, I was so unaware.
You're
of like
just
so
out
much.
there trying to figure it out.
And I yeah, no, literally. And then I just kind of found out from that. I was like, okay, her friend goes to this school. This person goes, and then I guess that's how I like cracked the code of like other schools. But like it didn't really feel like that to me. I was just like, oh yeah, there's other schools,
right?
They do it a little different than me. But I had like the majority of my friends were homeschooled as well.
Sure,
so like I didn't feel way out of the loop, at least.
Because they were in the same loop as you.
They were in the same. They were doing the same thing.
Yeah,
they're like, hey, my mom was terrible today, and I was like, bro, I'm sorry. You know what I mean? It's just like, yeah. But homeschooling, it was. I mean, I'm sure some kids that were homeschooled would be like, it was a curse. Like I didn't get to hang out with anybody. But for me, I'm like, if I didn't have it, dude, I probably would not take the risks and the chance that I have taken today. And I'm like, you know, I'm here where I'm at, and I'm like, I'm gonna be thankful for what's happened.
Right.
So,
wow, man, that's awesome. And then you know, you said about going to church. Was your family always the church going, like ever since you can remember?
Ever since I can remember.
Every Sunday, Wednesday.
Every Sunday. It was just that was just life for me, you know? I was super, like, that was just so normal.
Right.
And I didn't really, like, take it seriously until, like, I guess I was in, like, freshman year of high school, like, when youth group, like, really happened. And then I was just like, okay, this stuff is real. I was like, okay, this is, like, there's a man that I can talk to, that I can fall in love with, and I can tell everything about my life and what's like to come, what has happened.
Right.
And that's kind of really where I tapped into like the relationship side of like just love and just Jesus. But yeah, growing up, it was like such a normal thing. Mom and dad, they've always been like involved, like very, very involved.
Right.
So I was kind of I was in it too. Like my older brother, he sang and he played guitar. And
even at a young age?
He was like, I think he was like, he started in high school as well, just playing guitar and singing. And I would always tell him, be like, bro, you're terrible. I would like literally, I was his biggest hater until I became his biggest fan. And later on I realized, I was like, okay, this guy is kind of like pioneering, you know, the fashion or like the risk for me in my life. Right. And now he's like amazing. I mean, yeah, dude. He's one of the best. Dude, yeah, he's one of the best. And I'm just like, maybe it took. And
you were hating on him?
Bro, but listen, maybe it took a little bit of oomph from my part to give him some, you know, extra to go into it like the way he has. But he's got it down pat now.
Oh yeah, dude, he kills it whenever he gets up on there, on the stage. So you went to church. Oh, but a cool thing you talked about was at a young age you figured out that it was a relationship with God. Yeah. You know, it wasn't like a dictatorship of like, if I do this, you know, I'll get this result, or like, and like you talked about love, and I think that's also like part of your formula is like you got love poured in from your family and from God too, and you realizing that God is love at a young age, I think is so key to like how you are now. Yeah. Because like I feel like a lot of people, you know, whatever religion they'll grow up in, but like they grow up like hating God. They think he's, you know, a very demanding, very, you know, whatever your vision is of him. And it just, and that sets their whole trajectory of life. Like if you,
Yeah.
I feel like if you start out hating God, hating life, that it just turns you into like a bitter person and
Yeah.
turns you into a very ungrateful, unthankful person. And for you to receive that at the beginning of your life is like, bro, that's key.
Yeah, I didn't.
That's awesome.
I didn't realize it
Right.
so
At the
quick.
time.
I didn't realize it so quick. I mean, I remember just way back, like just little problems, would come up, and
Right.
I'd be like, oh, the Lord is like, this is like my human thought process of like how He worked before, like I really knew it was relationship, but it was like, oh, if I mess up, like anything that is bad that happens to me afterwards is like basically His punishment for my mess up in the past. Like that's how and I was so fearful of like messing up or like making a mistake that I was like, okay, if I do this, or like I would do something wrong and then I'd be like, oh, this is happening because I did that. And that's totally like so unbiblical. Like
Right.
it's so out of left field, and
Right.
and the Lord, that is not how He works. He's like on your team. He's so on your team, and it took me a minute. Like it took me a minute to realize, and then I was like, oh, like I remember I would walk my dog, like kind of growing up, and there's a big field. There's the York Catholic field.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like a private school.
Yeah.
And it's
okay,
like
yeah.
fairly close to where I like grew up, but I would like walk my dog, and at night like the stars would be out because all the lights would be out, and it's this massive field. And that's where I kind of picked up and like understood. Like I'd look up at the stars, look up at the sky, and like I'd either cry, I'd either yell, I'd either like get really pissed, I'd either like just like kind of just soak and just be like, Lord, like, hey, what's going on? And that's how I realized just looking above me was like, that's really what brought the relationship. Like it was very natural. It didn't feel like forced, but it was just like, if I'm frustrated, if I'm mad at Him, like I just need to look up and I need to talk with Him. And then, so much peace just floods me afterwards. But yeah, it was very, very awesome and beautiful the way, like I kind of realized just for me how He works with me personally. But
Right.
yeah, dude.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. So then, because I don't really know much about your story after high school.
Yeah.
But like, did you go to college?
I did not go to college. I remember I would like go to my friends' houses, and they'd be like, Brighton, because I'd be a senior, and they'd be like, okay, like, and a lot of these parents are like holding their kids up to like a standard. They're like, hey, college after high school, like that's just the way to go.
Right.
And I would always tell them, like I had like an idea, like I knew I didn't want to go to college. I was like, I'm not going to go to college. I'm not going to get thousands of dollars in debt. Like that is just the last thing.
Oh, so you didn't want to go?
I didn't want to go at all. Like I was like, no. I was like, I can't do it.
What did your parents think about that?
They were completely supportive.
Nice.
They were
Awesome.
they didn't really like second guess anything. Like
Wow, dude,
in high school,
your parents are awesome,
bro.
Jeez,
They
dude.
like they didn't. I like started like a clothing brand in high school.
Yeah.
I did a lot of photo shoots with people. Like I was very creative, like hands on. Like I wanted to make videos with people and do like things that like a lot of colleges in not so big of like cities provide. Like that's what I wanted to do. It was something that.
Did you ever have a thought of like art school?
I did, but it was in like the midst of me kind of realizing my calling within ministry.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I was like, I had like, throughout senior year, I knew I was going to like take a year off and then work. And I worked at a chemical factory.
I vaguely remember that.
You vaguely remember this?
Yeah.
I worked at a chemical plant. This was like my gap year. I worked at a chemical plant, and I'd get like suited up in this like hazmat suit and like apron and goggles. Like it was like pretty embarrassing, but it was awesome for me. Like, it was so good, and I worked full time.
First shift.
First, yeah.
Nice.
Worked there full time.
Best shift.
It was good. I mean, it was perfect for me.
Yeah.
I got to put my headphones in,
Yep.
and that, like, I worked at warehouses like most of my time, and that was my like kind of push into like my little nudge into music is of how, like, I would clock in for 8 hours a day, and I'd get to wear my headphones. What am I gonna listen to? So I would just listen to so much music, and I kind of got confident in my ear for like what's good and what's not. And but yeah, with your question, I was like kind of looking into, I wasn't super looking into like art school as much, but like something a little bit out of the box as well.
Right.
Just kind of what's gonna happen next. But my brother had come back from BSSM, and he was like, he was glowing when he came home.
Wow.
And I was like, this is a new guy.
Wow.
And I got to just talk with him about it. I went out and visited while I was doing my gap year, and I visited, and I was just like, I think I'm gonna do it. Like, it's very far, but I was like, I think I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my thought process. I really wanted to be a pastor. I feel like in a way I'll still be one. I'll always be one,
Man.
whether it's like, you know, doing something like this or
Right.
like just hanging out with a friend. Like, I feel like, or like on a stage, like
Right.
whatever it is. Like, I do have a love for ministry, and I have a love for, you know, the Lord. But yeah, so like, I guess art school, my mind was just like, got super involved in ministry, and I was like, I think I can go this route.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you almost went left.
Almost went left.
You almost went way left.
Yeah, I mean, I was close to it, but I was always comfortable. Like, I was
Yeah.
like, I wasn't stressed.
Yeah.
Like, parents would ask me, they'd be like, Brighton, oh, that's what I wanted to say. They're like, Brighton, what are you doing? And I was like, And they're like, what?
This is your gap year?
This was my senior year.
Oh,
when I'd go to friends' house, and like my friends' parents.
Oh, the friends' parents.
And-
Oh, the worst
and
questions.
And I'd be like, listen, I don't even know.
Well, what do your parents think about that?
Well, are you sure? Like,
Are you sure you don't want to go?
are you sure? Like, how are you gonna be stable?
Right.
You know, and like all these
What
questions.
about your future?
But I was never afraid, Brock. Like,
That's
I'd get
awesome.
hit with like these questions from parents, and I'd be like, I'm gonna be fine. Like, I know who I am. I know where I'm at. I worked like that full-time job like toward the end of senior year. So when I was getting the questions, I was working full-time. So I was like, I know where I'm at.
Right.
I'm doing well. I can
Right.
handle things. Like, I'm paying my bills. And so I was never afraid of the future. Like, I never have been, really.
Right.
You know?
I feel like so many kids need to hear that, because like so many kids, their parents like basically force them to go to college.
Yeah. Mhm.
And for them to hear that, like, your story, and like the fact that you were so confident in your like, just be confident in who you are, and be confident in your choice, because the second you like second guess, like
Yeah.
oh, is this a good choice? Like,
Yeah.
I probably should be going to college, like, and
Mhm.
I think that gap year, I think that's essential too.
It's so essential. I think like the biggest thing ever is to like realize, like, I'm 21 now, but like if I was like talking to like an 18-year-old, the biggest thing to like realize is like, homie, you have like so much you have so much like time right now. You have like a window that you can take risks, and you can go after what you like genuinely want to go after. Like, you have a window.
Right.
And then like later on, like that window will start to close, but right now is like, is your time to like do what you love. And if you're not loving where you're at, like, you can find change. It's like, it's literally like the friends that you find. If you're not feeling loved, if you're not feeling like the thing that you stay up late on your phone watching that you have a passion for, if you're not feeling like that you're going after something like that, and you're not feeling like that you're making advancements on something, and you're like in a stagnant spot, really like be like, okay, things might take time. It might take me a minute to get in that place where I can chase these things that I'm seeing, like, from the content that I'm ingesting, but like, I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there. And just put the right people around you. But like, yeah, you're not being rushed. Things are gonna be fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, things are gonna be totally fine. You have your window. Enjoy your window, and make the most of it. Because, you know, if you're not going hard and doing whatever you can, hitting up that photographer, videographer, like making that shirt, or, you know, making that song, just go after it. Like, just do it. Because, like, you're going to get so overwhelmed with whether you think that it's good enough or whether it's not good enough. But put it out. Put it out. I'm like, that's the one thing right now in time that I'm like, I'm really trying to dig into myself. I'm like, put that out. Just put it out. Just put it out. Release it, you know? Yeah. But go after what you want to go after, you know? Don't let the stigma of, you know, whatever other friends' parents are saying to go to college. Like, come on. Come on.
And you wrote the other day, you put risk over comfort.
Over comfort. Yeah. It's, oh my goodness. I think it's very like a controversial, it's a very controversial thought process, only because there are people that are like meant to take like, and there are people that are meant to stay in like the comfort. There are people needed in like, you know, the houses. There are people like that have the Lord that are needed in like the cubicle jobs. There are people that are needed there. Right. And I know, like, for me, it was more of a statement, just for me in my life, that I'm like, man, I'm so willing to like take a risk and like just take my chances on what I love to do, like what makes me like shiver and cry, that I'm like, oh, I love this so much. Like, I'll hear a song and be like, oh, I love this so much, and I'm like, I want to make art like that, and I want to create like that. Like, that's what makes me come alive. And I'm like, I'd much rather take the risk of like either going after that, dying on that hill and failing, than, you know, sitting kind of comfortably and doing kind of what everybody else is doing in a way. I'm like, I'm okay with being uncomfortable. I'm okay with it. So that's kind of where that statement. Why?
Yeah. And then like, so then you finally, you know, you took that gap year, you worked. And then, it was just a year? It
was like it was probably like a year and a half.
Like 18 nights. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a year and a half. And it was like, yeah, probably a year and a half.
Yeah. So then, like, what was it like finally taking that leap of faith? Because you drove out there.
I did. Yeah, I drove.
So he drove to California to go to Bethel.
It was a far trip, dude.
Yeah.
It was like 4 days.
Were you by yourself?
It was me and my dad. Shout out, Dad.
Dad. Cool. I didn't know you guys went together.
We did. I thought
it was just you.
We drove out and he flew back. Like, I dropped him off at the Sacramento airport.
Sacktown.
But that year was just like it was such a good year, bro. Like, I had a girlfriend at the time, which kind of like,
you're talking about in York.
In York, like that gap year.
Gap year.
That gap year, yeah. I had a girlfriend at the time, so it kept me like alive at my job. Like, so many things kind of kept me going. Like, the Lord had put so many things in my life at that time that were so needed and so pivotal. Right. And I mean, part of that job was like my love and enjoyment for music, like, really sparked up. Like, I had worked like a printing job before where I just spent hours with my AirPods in, just like listening to so much music. Right. And so like having that job was a blessing. It was a time of like, okay, realizing like, oh, I can do this. Like, it wasn't difficult for me. Like, I just get up 7, go to my job, like get up in the suit, drive the forklift, you know, do my thing. You know, I had a lot of people, just so many people that love me, and I'm like, I'm okay. Like, this is just my year in between. That I didn't feel like, oh, this is coming. Like, I'm going to California. But I was like very content in where I was, and finished out the year at the chemical plant, and I had applied for BSSM because of after that trip. I was just like, this is a good place. And I'm like, if I'll get the exception, and then I'm like, I'll have it as an option. And I remember being at church, somebody came up to me and like, it wasn't even my family that told me, that broke the ice to me, that I was like, hey, you got accepted. But it was like, got a hand on my shoulder, and it was like, hey, I heard you got accepted. I was like, I got accepted? It was like, yeah, you got accepted. I was like,
how did they know?
oh my gosh. I think probably through my parents, yeah.
Oh, like you're saying. Oh,
yeah, through
like
them.
They
but
probably told them.
They
or
probably like told
someone
a few people before they even told me.
And they didn't even.
I know, and then
Wow.
kind of just gaining up to that. There's so much that like happened.
Who was the person that put the hand on your shoulder?
It was Phil.
Nice.
Yeah.
Shout out Phil.
Shout out Phil.
Nice.
Yeah,
Phil
he was
Payne.
like, Herndon.
Hearn. Oh,
Yeah,
Herndon.
he was like, hey buddy. He's like, I heard you got
Heard
in.
you got accepted,
and I was
buddy.
like, I got in, bro. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And then
Okay, shout out the other Phil, but shout out
both Phils.
Both.
Those guys are legends. Yeah, 100%.
Nice.
But I didn't really, second guess much. I was just like, I'm really feeling like this is what's next for me. And like growing up, I told you, I was like, I always dreamed of like moving out to California.
Right.
Even though this is very North California,
Right.
like Northern California, but it's a little. It's still there. Like it's still a jump. It's
How
still
far
a
away are
risk.
you from LA?
I'm about. I've said 10 hours before, but I've been corrected. I think it's around 8.5.
Are you close to Santa Cruz?
A lot closer to Santa Cruz. Yeah, I'm like
Yeah.
4 or 5.
Because I remember, so the only time I've been to California, I went to Santa Cruz, and I remember my friend was in LA, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll come down to see you.
Yeah.
And then it was like,
6
bro,
hour drive.
it was like so far. I was like, yeah, I'm not coming.
Like, bro, it's way too
Sorry.
far. Yeah, Santa Cruz is beautiful.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Went down to Big Sur.
Yeah.
To
Come on.
camped out at Big Sur.
Did you?
Yeah.
I went with a friend of mine.
So
Shout out Matthew Pierce. He's
Shout
a
out Matthew.
homie. But we were like, we should go to Santa Cruz this weekend, like just for no reason. And I drive a Jeep over in Redding.
Yeah.
Theodore is his name. He's awesome. But
Yeah.
we were like, oh yeah, let's go, and we'll just like park on the beach and then
Yeah.
just sleep in the back of the car.
Yeah.
And it was like such a good memory.
I
It
feel
was
like a lot of people do that.
yeah, it was like a
Yeah.
2-day little event, but it's such a good memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know what Big Sur is, but I think it's just the coast right there.
Bro,
Is it because there's no like, I don't know. It just seemed like it was just like the coast, and that's what they just call it.
yeah. It's like, Santa Cruz, it's like a surfing like capital.
Skate,
Yeah, they love that.
Yeah.
They love the surf. And
Yeah.
I'm trying to get into that, bro. We'll see what happens, but I'm like, it's definitely sparking my interest. I'm like, I'd love to surf.
Yeah.
Haven't
you
yet.
should try skating first.
Skating?
Just to like get the motion.
I did for a minute.
Yeah.
I did.
Get like the motion of it. Get your core strength up,
Yeah.
balance, all that before like going into the ocean.
And then
maybe.
hitting the absolute killer waves.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
or getting like eaten by a shark.
Eaten by a shark. I'll take some notes and watch Surfs Up, and then I'll hit the
Yeah.
waves. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
That's the only thing that like I would love to surf, but it's just like the unknown of the ocean.
Yeah,
Like,
it's scary.
I don't like that. I've seen way too many like
It's deep,
crazy
too, bro.
stories.
It's deep.
It's so deep, and like I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't like it, dude.
You have TikTok, right? Do you
Yeah.
use TikTok? Have you
Yeah.
seen like those? I'll be scrolling on my For You page. Maybe you guys do too. But it's like you flip to that one and it starts that sound. It's like he ho, December, and it's like it shows this like dark abyss of water with a massive whale or something.
Yeah, see, I don't like that.
They know what I'm talking about. It's like a creepy TikTok.
This must be a California For You page because
Bro, maybe. But bro, I trust.
Content.
It's
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah, I just so I stick to skating and like the asphalt.
Yeah,
like,
I got you.
Where I'm good. Where I know I'm not gonna get.
Where you know
eaten up.
exactly.
Yeah. But I do love the beach. I love just like going out on the waves.
It's
like,
nice, dude.
But like staying close to the sand.
To the sand, to safety.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, dude. So you finally took the leap. And you're out there, and you're out in Cali, bro. Like, what was like the first?
I'm out here.
What was like the first couple like weeks, months? Like, I mean, I'm sure every day was just an adventure.
Oh, it's wild. Like I met my first two roommates online. Okay.
Like before you got out there.
Before I got out there, so like through Facebook.
Wow.
And like I just got in this group chat with. Shout out Jake and Nathan, and Michael, my first roommates in BSSM. They were all attending the school as well.
Nice.
So, like, we kind of met through just Facebook, and we were like, oh, we're all attending the school this year, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And
real quick, how do they have, like, on-campus housing for you guys?
They don't. You go, it's literally.
You have to find your own housing in California.
Yeah, it's literally like if our church was like a school. You have to there's no housing, there's no dorms.
Oh, because Bethel is
a church. Yeah, and they're like, bro.
What?
I mean, people come from all over the world,
and they gotta find housing in California.
Gotta find housing.
And you're talking about apartment prices. Dude, like,
they're crazy. They're crazy.
So you have to basically find 3 or 4 roommates.
Oh my goodness, essential. Yeah.
But then it's like you have to get a job.
Yeah, you do a lot. I mean, a lot of like going to that school. I mean, once you like, if you get like accepted to that school, there's so many like people that are so on fire, right. And there's you have so many of the students out there are just amazing people, like just amazing people that come from all over the world, and they have like amazing. People just like backing them up and just like for them.
Very giving.
So, very giving and like very just what like the Lord has for them. It's just like their, and so a lot of people come out just with finances like have been paid and like tuition's been paid and they're like I'm raising money for like tuition this year and then like
I
housing.
See that. Yeah.
And it's like you raise money like throughout the year because you're like relying on the Lord to like get you through this ministry school, and they're like, it's crazy, but but it's you have to have a ton of faith.
I bet, dude.
Like I remember just weeping in my car. I'm like, I'm gonna miss this payment, and then like the Lord just is like, that morning just in my email, and I'm like, wow. Okay, it's a constant reminder of why you're supposed to be there. Like they open so many doors for you to take a risk out there, where you're like, I don't have the tuition for this, but you can still go through like 2 weeks of school, like relying on God, like to pay this tuition off. So yeah, they teach you. It feels like they teach you in like all aspects of like faith and finances, just trusting that He's gonna get you housing. It's just like so much happening, but it's a great opportunity.
So now, is there like, what type of like area are you in? Are you in like a rural community, like a suburban area? Are you in like a city?
It's very suburban. Yeah. I mean, Reading,
like developments.
Yeah, Reading. It's like it's town. There's like big apartment buildings and they're nice. Right. But like, I mean, most of the town is just like consumerism. So there's just a ton of businesses and like stuff like that. So, it's very suburban. There's a ton of trees. Just it's pretty beautiful. Yeah. I feel like I'm a little used to it by now.
Right.
But it makes me realize how beautiful Pennsylvania is as well.
But then you come back to York.
I mean, then I come back to York, but there's like, there's so many sights to see in like LA and San Francisco, and it's like the busyness, but like I've been just like kind of talking to people. I'm like, it's so like simple here. Like it's so simple here. Yeah. It's like, it's so simple. And, I was just like, not that I don't like simple, because I'll sit in like my brother's house or something like that, and I'll be like, oh, this is nice. Right. Like, this is so nice. Yeah. But I'm like I was like telling them, I was like, this is your time. This is your window, and if you're fighting for something, bigger, then I'm like, I'm willingly putting comfort behind. And like, I love York, and York is comfort for me. It's
Right.
like, it's like here I'm like I feel safe. Like I know
Right.
the roads. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah. You don't gotta use GPS.
I don't gotta use GPS out here. Like I know where everything's at. It's
Right.
very. Everybody's still here. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yep.
Except
still
for
here.
except for some, which are great. But like,
Right.
I'm very acquainted, and
Right.
But yeah, York. I have so much love for York. I mean,
Yeah.
this tattoo is like for York. So
Oh, really? What's the significance?
it's Maple Street, the house I grew up on.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it's like
Nice.
I'm taking home wherever.
Nice.
So I got pieces of York all over me. So.
Right.
Yeah.
And then just like, getting used to like the California lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah.
was probably a huge transition, dude.
I mean, it felt very. It was like huge because I was like, okay, I'm leaving family behind.
Right.
Like
You're just out there by yourself.
it was more than just like, a different niche of people. Like it was
Right.
more than just like a different vibe, but it was
Yeah.
more of like, I've been like very, very set on like who I am and what I bring.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, this is me. Like, I'm not just going to go full on like California gnarly
Right.
surfer guy, but like
Right.
it's, I was like, the more of like adapting to the area was just
Right.
like, I know what I have at home. I know who's backing me. I'm going to give like the best example of my upbringing. I'm going to give the best example that the Lord has like placed on me. And, there's going to be flaws, and I'm here to like figure those out and just become the best, just one of his kids that I
Right.
can be.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and dude, and I can really relate because, so I went to school in Philadelphia, and when I went there, I went by myself. I was supposed to go with my buddy, but he ended up not going, and he went to the Marines. So like completely like
Big
left
step.
field.
Big step.
And I went to an art school out there, and so here I am. I went to Philadelphia. But I went by myself. I didn't know not a single person out there. But when I got there, I had 3 roommates. And
Same.
yeah, so kind of the same thing where it's like, I'm out there. Yes, I'm out there with no family, no like friends, but it's like I got these 3 guys, and then from there we like just hung out with a bunch of different people, and very quickly was like had a whole network of people.
You're like, I'm locked in.
Yeah, so it wasn't just like, it would be different if I like went out there and I was like living alone, like wasn't really around anybody. I think that would be different. But the fact that like I went there, had 3 roommates that I was around 24/7, like it just helped me, get more acquainted with the area, and then just, was able to build a huge network of people. So kind of the same thing happened with you, where it's like, yeah, you're out there alone technically, but I'm sure you kind of you guys lean on each other.
Well, I mean, yeah, you can feel alone. I think like when you go to like a place even so far from home, like even like Philadelphia, that's like 2.5 from here.
Yeah.
But like you kind of sit with yourself, and like I even realized that this too. But I'm like, I'm in a new place. I can be whoever I want to.
I know, that's
like,
the best part.
You're like, bro, I'm like, they know nothing.
Nothing.
About me. They're like, they don't know that I just sat on the sidelines in high school football.
No.
They have no idea.
No idea,
You know
bro.
what I mean? So I'm like, I think even like, because I love like to entertain, and I love like just people. And for me, like I've realized like the more that I'm in it, like the more like content's made, or like the more like photo shoots are done or anything like that. Right. The more though, like you can be anyone, and you can be like the coolest one out there, keep the shades on inside. You can be the coolest ever. I've seen the most fruit in like, even with creating content and making just like, even like writing songs or like putting songs out. The best you can do is literally be yourself. I've gotten the best like feedback from things that I put out that are like genuinely me. Right. And like it's taken me a while to realize that, because you're seeing like, you're consuming so many personalities and so many things.
Especially in California.
Oh my goodness, on like the television, on your
Yeah.
TikTok For You page, you're seeing so many personalities.
Yeah.
And it's like, how are you giving them something new if you're trying to be like somebody else?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the only thing that you can give that is not like them is you. So it's like you're kind of just like holding yourself back. Like even songs I've made songs that are like pretty identical to another person's song, and like I've sat down with people and they're like, hey, you know, we've heard this before. Like we've gotten this before from these people or this band or this artist. We've gotten this before. And then they'll listen to another one of my songs and be like, okay, this is new. Right. I can tell that this has you on it. And it's like with like any type of content that you're making, like it's you can tell when something that you've seen before has a lot of influence on your work. So just really be so you. Like whatever you feel like that you're not going to be accepted enough, be like, this is me. I know that I love well. I know that this is this. I know that this truth is this. And be you, because that's something that you can offer the world that the world doesn't have yet.
Right.
So go crazy.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's a good word. You said
That's
something though. Word. You said something though that like really I really related to, because I've moved to several different states before. Yeah. And like just you know, that feeling of going basically anywhere, like going to like a simple like going to Walmart, like nobody knows me in this Walmart. Nobody does. And like when you're kind of in your hometown, you're like, I mean, I try not to do this, but sometimes when I go into Walmart, I'm like, oh God, who am I going to see now?
Yep.
Like, is it going to be a high school reunion or what?
You'll be like, hey, suit up, because you're going to see somebody.
Yeah, and then you'll see that friend's mom, and then it's like, hey, how you doing?
Oh my gosh.
How's your mom?
How are you doing?
And I'm like, bro, when you're in another state, you don't get nothing like that, because nobody knows anything about you.
Nobody does.
And it's like, you know, when I was in those other states, I could be more myself.
Yeah.
I had less anxiety. I had less like thinking about like what I was wearing.
Yeah.
Or like just being yourself, dude.
Yeah.
When you're stuck in that comfort zone, that's what brings out like the anxiety, the past,
the like, repetition. Yeah. It's just like you get stuck in a cycle.
Yeah. Or like, look, there's him from years ago.
This
like,
and this and this.
Yeah.
That did this and this and this.
Yeah. So when you're in that new state, if you've never done that before, like, oh my goodness, it's like the coolest feeling
it's
ever.
Good.
It's like almost a drug in a sense.
I feel like honestly,
it's like a euphoric feeling.
I see it as like the best opportunity that you can take to like show, like, it's a big like statement, but like show the world who you are, because nobody knows you. You're in a new place, nobody knows you. And like if you were just to like to bump into like just anybody on accident in a grocery store, oh hey, sorry, and then like a little conversation gets engaged, that honestly is probably your truest self. With a random person, and it's just you and them. I think there's loads of opportunity. Oh, this is good, Brock. There's so much opportunity to figure out like who you are and what you bring to the table if you're uncomfortable. Like if you're in a new state, there's like you have no boundaries and you're like everything is new, but you get caught in a conversation with somebody you don't know. Perfect example that you get to find out about, like, why did I pinpoint that subject with that person? Like why did I do this? But like get out. Yeah. Do it. Like just get out of the comfort zone. Like just it might sound to like some of the homeschooling moms that I talked with, it sounds ludicrous, crazy. Very ludicrous. From like what I told them back in the day, and now like I'm like as happy as can be, and I'm like, bro, you know, I had nothing to be like ashamed of. So
yeah, that's good, man.
Yeah, dude.
Like, dude, I hope so many people hear that and just go.
Yeah.
Because it's so worth it. So yeah, so you were out there. So you are out there. You're out in California.
I'm out there.
One question I did have is like, because you grew up, you grew up with God,
Yeah.
and this kind of ministry background. How do you live a godly life in California where there's so much bad? There's so like the devil literally lives out there.
He's around.
He's around. I mean, he's everywhere, but more so like Hollywood. I heard this thing the other day. If they took the L out of Hollywood, it'd be much better.
Yeah.
Hollywood. But like, how do you like how do you stay
navigate?
How do you navigate through that,
Mm-hmm.
dude? Because there's so much, especially at your age, 21, dude.
I know.
Like at that age, being in California, being close to LA, like, dude, there's so many bad influences. So how do you stay close to that Bethel group? Like, is that kind of how you like navigate through that?
I have a lot of good friends from school out there, but they're not. I'll be honest, they're not like my number one, circle. Like they're not like just around me all the time. At least outside of like when school is like it's summer or something like that. I'm not really.
True.
Just because out there, like, everybody kind of goes back to, like, their hometowns and stuff like that. So many people from, like, out of the country go back. So you're very, like, once BSSM is over...
Thanks, bro.
I got you, Slime. But, like, once BSSM is over, it's, like, you're kind of enclosed to, like, very few people. But navigating, like, your question was, like, navigating, like, just a life with God out there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's, like... For me, I've like written songs with like so many people that don't know the Lord and do know the Lord, and I've like just been in studios with so many people that don't know the Lord, and like just environments like you can every place you go to is an environment where you're like, whoa, you know what I mean? But it's for me being around a lot of stuff like that, like being around, a lot of artists that are very like. Have so much personality to them and they're so gifted. It's like for me, I need to keep like a solid relationship with God, and when I'm in rooms like that, when I'm like am hanging out with friends and like drinks are being passed around, and I'm not against that, and people are smoking and stuff, I'm in those environments, like they happen every day. But for me, it's like be careful with what you partake. Be careful, because it can become your life, and it's not a good like it's not a good route to go down long term. But more importantly, like be confident in your relationship with God. Be like in those rooms and like just in those situations, be so confident in like who you are. Be confident on where He has you. That you're like, like His plan for your life, Like for me, I see so much like opportunity to show people like this love, because I've gotten so many stories of people being like, oh yeah, I went to this church and they like hated me because of like my tattoos on my hands and stuff, and I'm sitting there like, and I'm like a wreck because I'm like, oh bro, like they've been sent away, like they've been pushed, and for me, there has to be people, here's a good story, but there has to be people in those rooms that know Him. There has to. And if they're not, how are they going to find Him? And I remember I was at a song retreat in Joshua Tree.
Oh, how was that? How's Joshua Tree?
So beautiful, bro.
Yeah,
so beautiful.
I've heard about it.
But I was at a song retreat in Joshua Tree, and we were on our way home from this songwriting retreat. And it was just me and like... It was probably like 10 to 12 other artists, but we all came in like separate cars, right? And it was my turn to drive on the way home, and I was like driving, and I got like a few questions thrown my way just because of like who I am. They'd be like, Brighton, what do you think of this? Like, what do you think of this? And they like asked me a question, just to kind of I don't want to like kind of give away this guy's like moment, but it was just a question kind of regarding like why things happen to him and like in life and stuff like that. It was a very deep question.
Right.
And I was like in the driver's seat, and I feel like whenever you're in the driver's seat, you have some kind of like authority, like when you
Right.
speak, like you have like the moment, be like, okay, driver's talking or something like that.
Right.
But I got to share with this car of like artists and like producers of like, well, this is why I think like kind of things happen to you in life. And I feel like, at least for me, you know, the Lord, you know, picks and plans certain things and certain routes for me to go down, and he's there with
Right.
me like throughout the whole way. Like I'm getting to just involve them in my perspective of like just my life is. And I'm like sitting there, and like the conversation went on for like another hour or so, and it's kind of like died down, sun went down, and I'm just driving, and I'm like, like tears kind of fill my eyes.
Wow.
Because I'm like, okay, people need to be, if like I wasn't in like this driver's seat, like, yeah, like these guys, like maybe they're not like living a perfect life for God, right? But it's like, who's gonna be there?
Right.
Who's
You got to be that example.
I was like, who's gonna be there? And I'm like, my genuine want is to be like something like that. Like if I can get to something like that, I'd love to be something like that. And I feel like,
Right.
you know, that's if not now, but like even later on, just with bigger and better opportunities with people that are way more seasoned in the industry and like
Right.
doing way bigger things. But really, to me, it's knowing and being confident in your relationship with God, because it's everywhere. You're not gonna go like, yeah, like LA's crazy, but you're not gonna go, you know, just it's gonna be everywhere. Right. You're not gonna go to a place where it's not. So
Right.
yeah,
Like
the best
in
you
the world.
can do is just live what you believe, live what you know,
Right.
and be confident in that. So
Right. That's awesome, man. So you're out in California. You talked about how you have like a music background, but that's kind of where you really like honed in on everything music. And then you made a couple songs. You got 2 released?
I have 2 released at the moment. Yes.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I tried looking for them and it was really hard to find.
Really?
Yeah.
See.
So, because I looked and there's a guy named Brighton,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like whatever, has however many songs. But then like I did finally find yours because I use Apple Music, and it was like your 2 songs, but then it was like jumbled in with this other guy's stuff.
Apple Music, that one's been like tough for me to like work around, just because like their artist app is very like, mine got switched in and like tangled in with like another artist, which I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it's like your 2 songs.
I'm gonna have to like contact Apple support on that one, because this kid's gonna blow up. So
yeah,
but released 2 songs.
Nice.
Yeah, it's probably easier on Spotify, maybe.
Spotify, yeah.
But a perfect example, like what I was gonna say was, I was in the room with this like producer. Like this ties along into having good people around you. But it was like they were like asking me like what my Spotify was, and I was like, just look in my name, Brighton. And there's like one dude that pops in above me, and they like clicked on him like by mistake. Like they probably just thought it was me, but I like saw his numbers and I was like, oh, he's got like 7 million on this one song. Guy, and I was like, he's got good numbers. I was like, but that's not me. And this producer looks up at me, and he's heard like a lot of my stuff, and he's like, buddy, he's like, you're not thinking big enough, dude, if you think that's big, and like circled it.
Ooh.
And that was like implanted in my head. Wow. Like since it happened. He's like, you're not thinking big enough if you think that's big. Wow. If you think that's a lot. And then like exited out and went and found me. But it's like, wow. It's so cool that you brought that up, because that was like a implanted like story, right. Just kind of moment in my head that I'm just like, I kind of go and like feed off of a little bit as I'm, working toward the dream. But
very pivotal.
Oh my goodness. There's moments that just add up like that. Yeah.
So then, but you're out there and you're making music. What do you think is like the biggest like if you were telling somebody about like, you know, your experience out there, like I know you said about networking, you know, like what is driving you out there? I mean, obviously you're in school, but like, yeah, what is like driving you to like keep going?
To keep going. Oh, Brock, that's a good question. Something that like, something that I would like, I like tell my parents like all the time. I'm gonna help.
Right.
Like I'm gonna help this, you know, and like,
wow.
and I'm like I grew up in York, and I know my foundation, and like my parents just sewed so much into me.
Right.
And I'm like, I would love to come back and like just bless them as much as they bless me, and like with the amount of like trust and the amount of just belief that they had in me to be able to like go all the way to California, and they were just like, yeah, go do it. Right. Like, Mom, I love music. They're like, go do it. Yeah. And I'd love to come back with something huge for them. And I'm like, so it's really a big driving piece. It's kind of like I make the statement to Mom and Dad pretty often. I'm like, don't worry, it's gonna be good.
Yeah.
I'm like, Brighton's working hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like all because they believed in you.
It was huge, yeah.
Because they could have easily been like, no, you're going to school.
Yeah.
Like, you're doing this, you're doing that. But, like, since they believed in you, like, bro, you got to do it for them.
I have to now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to now.
For them and your family. And, you know, we talked about Bennett earlier. How much of, like, an influence, I know you said you used to rag on him.
Bro.
But, like, how much of an influence is he now, seeing where he is now?
Is he now? That's a good question.
Yeah.
I think he's, like, to me, Bennett, he's such a massive, like, influence, like, top to bottom of, like, even from, like, when he was, you know, leading worship music a lot to like now, and he's like, you know, married, and like he still has like so many things he's got going on, like at least music wise and like dream wise. But how he's influenced me like right now, that to me is like, that's life. Like, you want probably the best thing that you can have out of life is just like a family, like a wife and kids, and, you know, just the Lord with you guys, like, all the time. Like, that's that's the big goal of life to me. That's like the best that it can get. It's just a solid family, and he's in the works right now. Like, he's doing it all, and like right now I look at him and I'm like, oh my goodness, like this looks just so nice. And but it's definitely, that is like end goal. It's just family and kids one day, wife and kids. Right. So
it's like he's drawing the blueprint right now.
He is, yeah. And he did way back when. Like, it was there was so many things that like had to happen in front of me to be kind of where I'm at today, or like even allow my mind to make sense of what the choices that I've made. Right. Like, so many things, like I don't know what it is. It's like a flip switched, I guess, in my head. Just of like logic now. It's like different to me. Like, the norm is different to me now. It's like, oh, you can, like, risk isn't, it never gets comfortable, but it's almost a little easier. Right.
Especially seeing that he did it. Like, seeing that he went out to California.
He did do it, yeah. He did it.
And, yeah, man, I think that's key for your journey, too, to see, you know, your older brother doing that. Yeah. Yeah, man, shout out to Bennett, man. He's awesome.
He's a legend.
I see him at church when he's up there, and just, like, you know, showing God's love, dude. Yeah. I even love his little, you know, his words that his little spontaneous words that he gives like in between a song, like, dude, it's so good. But yeah, and then so yeah, man, so you're in this whole like digital age of like social media, all that stuff. Like, how much has social media like not, I guess I'd say influenced you, but like also how much has it helped you out there to like get your name out? You know, if you didn't have social media, I'm sure it'd be a little bit tougher, but like how much good has come out of it?
I guess I feel like a lot of people, some people tell me they're like, like I need to like, I'm just completely deleting Instagram. Like I've heard that a lot from a lot of people, and I'm just like, whoa, you know, only because of like the fruit, like the actual like the actual fruit that comes out of it, not just like the posts or just like the stories or something, but like the connection and the communication, like even the business side of things that I've seen fruit from because of like the clothing brand in the past. But I feel like that, honestly, I feel like the Lord worked through my clothing brand to kind of understand that there's more to social media, because I was like, I ran all of my purchases through Instagram for a while, all of it.
Oh, because there's like a store option.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, there's.
So you ran it out of your Instagram.
I ran it, and it wasn't, the store option wasn't even out yet. So it would be through DM. I would sell shirts.
And then what? Just like, you know, hit my Cash App.
I'll
send it to you.
Yeah, I'd send them like a list. But I think like in regards to like social media and influence, you can, it's however you look at it. If you look at it like, this is my board tool and I'm gonna spend 4 hours on it, that's what it will be. But if you like excuse me, but if you like scroll through TikTok and be like, okay, I'm gonna find like I'm just here for a little bit, I'm gonna find like an artist, and they really pop out to you, like a music artist, and then you like take them into your DM, hit them up and be like, hey, I'd love to do like an interview with you, talk about your song that you're dropping, doing something like yeah, they might get DMs out of nowhere, like from other people, but maybe they might not, because everybody thinks that they're getting DMs.
Right.
So it's like it's social media is however you look at it. I think it's it's also better to like not really know anybody, because sometimes you're going to find yourself like with what you've dreamed out and like the people that you've seen like your entire childhood on like social media and just media in general. If you like really chase after your dream, you're gonna meet them.
Right.
And sometimes it's either better to like not know them, so you're like a little bit more chill.
Right.
And because I've met some really cool people that I didn't know were cool until after I met them. Like I didn't know that they were like, at least in terms of like very, very successful like in the media. But I was just like, oh, they're so sick, and then I'd like, you know, scroll and be like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? Right. But it's like, it's however you look at it. If you pick it up, if you pick your phone up like it's a business, and you scroll like it's a business, it will be a business.
Right.
And if you like scroll like you're just a consumer and you're there to look at other people's pictures, that's what it will be. That's what it's gonna be. But also I feel like it's great. It's good and bad. Like you can do both. I feel like that you can do both, and you can do both in a healthy way. But it's just a matter of like, you know, what you do with what you've seen. Right. Like whatever your intake is, you're like, okay, what am I gonna do with that intake? Like my whole For You page is fashion right now. I wonder why. Maybe I love fashion.
Maybe, dude.
And then you'd be like, okay, sit with yourself and be like, how can I capitalize on this love for fashion?
Right.
And then, you know, your passion becomes reality. And then, but it's social media. I think it's a beautiful thing. I think it's awesome. I think you can use it unhealthy, but just approach it in the right way, and you should be good. Yeah. Right.
I think that's a good word. Like, it is what you make it.
It is, dude. Like, it really is.
Yeah. Like, if you're on there looking at ridiculous stuff, like, you're just going to keep... Especially the For You page, I noticed it's very curated to what you like.
It is.
Like, if I start liking some weird stuff's gonna keep popping up.
Like I'll like watch. It's so bad. I'll watch like one one full like cooking
Yeah.
TikTok, and then I'll like scroll and there's like 3 or 4 right underneath.
Yeah,
Because I'm like, okay, I just watched this guy like fillet a fish, and now I got like a ton of. I'm on Cook Talk now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
but yeah.
You did talk about your clothing brand a little bit, and I did want to mention I was gonna wear your shirt, but I already wore it on one of the episodes.
I did see it, bro.
So
I did. Thank you, bro.
And yeah, I didn't want to double dip, but
What's crazy? You know what my brother told me about it? He said.
Wait, no, you go ahead, because I got a crazy story.
I'm excited now. Oh,
okay, bro. So I got this crazy story of how I went to Chili's one night.
Nice.
And it was your brother, Sarah, Chris, Nelson, Michael, his brother, and then some other guy. They were at Chili's, and I was walking in. I was in the parking lot. They saw me wearing your shirt because I was wearing it. Yeah. And then I walk in, and then I see them, and I'm like, hey, I got the shirt on. Like, yeah. That was cool. And then I was with my buddy who doesn't know anything about you, has no idea who you are. Yeah. He just knows I have this shirt. And through a mirror, he noticed that somebody else in Chili's was wearing your shirt. What? I swear, dude. This was in Hanover, Pennsylvania. What? At Chili's, dude. And I didn't get a chance to go up to him because he kind of dipped out, and I didn't get a chance to say anything to him. But dude, there was 2 people in Chili's wearing your shirt, dude. Yeah. But the fact that dude, it was just so. The timeline of things was just it was so insane. Yeah,
bro, oh my goodness, I didn't realize I feel when I was putting that out, I was so I had no idea of the influence I was making. I had no idea, bro. I was just putting it out, and I didn't get I got a lot of love, but it was just there was just some things. I was so young, I had to figure out me a little bit. And but sometimes I even came home when I came to Pennsylvania, my brother, he was bro, he's people just think that's a brand now. They see people in it, because I made a hoodie and another t-shirt. Right. But they see people in it, they're they don't even know it's tied to you because nobody knows anymore.
Right. There's no way of knowing.
Yeah.
And I'm they know you.
I'm oh my goodness. But that's hilarious, bro.
Right.
That is 2 people in a Chili's.
In Hanover. It wasn't even in New York.
See, I had the most of my sales were in New York. So that's right. That's crazy. Yeah. That it wasn't family either.
No, just some random guy, dude. Yeah.
Wow.
And then the funny thing about, because I didn't purchase your shirt, so the funny thing about it, your dad, I saw him. I'll never forget. It was the Christmas Eve service at Providence, and I was there, and I was about to leave, and your dad goes, "Hey, I got this for you," and he's like, "It's been in my car for months." I guess he was trying to give it to me. Yeah. But or I don't know if he was gonna give it to me or what, or if he just had an extra, and then he thought of me. But yeah, he just gave me one of your shirts for free. I was like, nice, dude. I'll definitely rock this.
Let's go.
Yeah, I've worn it a couple times. It's funny. I feel every time I wear it, I see your brother.
Really? Yeah.
One time I wore it to church, and then I was serving, and I went into the back room before service, the pre-service, and your brother was back there, and I was like, "What's up, dude?" I'm I'm wearing the shirt.
I got the tee.
Gotta represent.
Yes, sir.
The fam.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, that's cool. And I've made I made T-shirts of Broccoli and Films, and it's just cool. Seeing my dad will wear it, and it'll just it'll catch me off guard when he wears it, because I'm just whoa, or my buddy will wear it when he's with me, and I'm just whoa, it just
oh yeah,
it's so cool.
I put time into that.
Yeah, and you're wearing this, it's such a cool feeling.
It is. So if there's any kids that want to do clothing, go crazy. Go crazy.
Yeah. And then in the early times of your clothing brand, didn't you get like a bunch of like, they weren't like celebrities, but
No.
like you had like people, it was like an NFL player and then like someone from a band. How did you get those people to wear your stuff? Did you just
in the clothes?
did you just send them?
Okay, so there, I had like a tactic. So I'm gonna give
Right.
like everybody watching some sauce.
Yeah.
Like, just like with like releasing clothes, but like just releasing your own clothing line. But take like, just make sure that what you're making is like, okay, this is like good stuff. Like I could see this on like a lot of people.
Yeah.
And what I did was I would just stay up so late, like at night, and like scroll through. I would take like one guy that I thought was really awesome, and I would like scroll through who they followed. I click them and be like, okay, this guy, he plays for this team, blah 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 blah. Oh, he knows the Lord. I'm like, oh, he'd like my shirt,
Cool.
right? And even if they didn't, I'd be like, oh, they probably like my shirt.
Right.
So I would scroll, I'd get their emails, and I would send mass emails out to like hundreds of people, or like in hundreds of DMs I would send out. Like my page on Instagram is just like, you could scroll for ages of just DMs of like paragraphs,
Random
like
DMs.
emailing lists,
Right.
just like a ton, just grinding to find these emails and like getting through just the requested of Instagram. It's a grind, but if you do it like enough, you're going to get really cool people in your clothes.
Right.
Like the persistence is there. Keep DMing people, keep like emailing people. Be like, what I did was I was just like, hey, like if I knew them, I was just like for one example, Josh Baldwin from Bethel Music.
Yeah.
I was
saw
just
that.
I DM'd her and was like, hey, I've been listening to your stuff since I was a kid. I just released a clothing brand, blah 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 blah. I was like, I'd love to send you like a free hoodie. All I ask is like, just take a picture, send it my way.
Nice.
And then you make a connection from there. And he's like, he's an amazing worship leader. He plays
Right.
in arenas. Like so many people know who he is. And I was like, oh, this would like be such a great collab. Like this would be such a good collab. And then you send it. You like, they sometimes respond with like, yeah, here's like my PO box or my address to send it to. And then probably within a week you'll get a photo, and that's when you're just like, let's go. Like that's when like the fun happened. Once you start getting pictures of these people in your stuff, then like all your hard work paid off, because like I was just a kid from York County, and I was like, I had some pretty cool I'd say some pretty cool people in my clothes, and I'm like, you know, like, but it's just the hard work pays off. You have to want it. You have to stay up late. Have to grind. Have to stay up late. Email, DM. It's a lot, but it's so gettable. If you're hungry enough, it won't feel like work.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like, you know, like we said about, you know, making social media, you know, make it is what, you know.
Yeah.
If you make it a business, it's going to be a business.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I was at. Yeah.
Wow, man. I don't know what type of marketing that is. Is that guerrilla marketing?
Is there
There's, like,
words for it?
I think there's terms for that, yeah.
Is that just like...
Yeah, where you just... So, like, have you ever been in a city where, like, the Red Bull car's at, or, like, the Monster truck's at?
Mm-hmm.
The Monster Energy truck, where they're just handing out free stuff.
Free stuff.
I think that's called guerrilla marketing, where it's, like, you taste that drink, and then you go and buy it.
Yeah, it's like it's aggressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, aggressive, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, you get that shirt, and then, you know, they go buy more, or and then they take that picture, and yeah, so that's a good marketing.
I mean, like, honestly, and especially if like the people that follow you know who these people are.
Yeah.
Like, just from a business perspective, like, your sales are going to go up. Like, let's say you make a shirt and you somehow get Travis Scott in your t-shirt. You're going to sell out of like the 3 boxes that you started with. You're going to sell out because people saw Travis or like Kanye in your shirt.
Right.
And what it takes to get somebody like that in their shirt is networking. And that's like how it gets going. Right. Is you just like, you know, I'm going to DM this person. I feel like Gary V right now. And I'm like, you got to go crazy. You know what I mean? But like,
showing up at yard sales.
It is true. Like, you really like... But, like, you have to love it, because if you don't love it, it'll just be exhausting, and you'll be like, oh, I lost hours of sleep.
Right.
But for me, I was like, dude, I'm like, I would be looking through Instagram pages. I was like, if I got this guy, I'd be so sick.
Right.
If I got this guy,
Because you got a couple
really
people. You got like what, 5?
Yeah, I don't want to like name drop it.
No, you don't have to name drop, but it
Yeah.
was like 5 like
There was a few,
pretty
yeah.
big people.
Yeah, there was a few.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I saw that and I was just like, whoa, like, okay.
Yeah,
Did you get a couple sales off it? You think?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah?
I think one of the guys reposted it in an airport once. Like he was just on his story. Like it was just it wasn't like just a picture,
sick.
but he put it on his story.
Nice.
Sometimes like if you were to post like the picture that they send you, you can like throw it up and they could repost it. That's
Right.
like huge. Like
Right,
if they
right.
put it up on their own page or
Yeah.
like on their story, it's huge.
Yeah.
But he was just like casually in the airport, and I got like 10 sales that night
What?
just from like a story in the airport of like just my hoodie. And I'm
Nice.
like, dude, so like you gotta, yeah, it's some really cool stuff can happen
Right.
when you are not afraid to tell people what your dream is.
Right.
So start like saying what it is. If you're too afraid to say it, then how is anybody gonna help you?
Right.
So
Yeah, man, that's awesome. You know, I mean, obviously, God is like all over your life right now.
thank you, bro.
How do you, from your perspective, how do you see God working in your life right now?
Oh my goodness. A little bit, it's like in a lot of overwhelming ways.
Right.
I see him working in my life. Like things like I never thought that I'd be able to live in California as a little kid. Like I never like really thought that it was like gonna happen. I was
Right.
like, oh, it's really out there.
Yeah.
But what like he's walking me through right now is just confirmation. Is like I'm walking in it's a lot of confirmation in like the plan that he had. Like sometimes you can sit and then feel like nobody's listening to your dreams when you yell at the sky.
But he's listening, bro.
Yeah, and he's recently like really clearly, and
Yeah.
I'm starting to realize how clear he was listening to
Right.
what I had to say.
Right.
But I'm really thankful to be where I'm at, and I'm really thankful for the people around me. It looks nothing like that I thought that it would be.
Right.
But when I like sit with myself, I realize how it looks like the path looks nothing like how I thought it would look like. But when I sit back and see it as a whole, it makes sense.
Right.
I'm like, I see that picture that I dreamed of right now. I
Right.
see it. I'm living it.
Wow.
And I'm not huge. Like I'm not crazy. I'm not doing anything like absolutely groundbreaking at the moment.
Right.
But I can definitely see like it fills me with a lot of like confidence in his love for me, that I'm like, why stop now? If anything, it just means pay more attention to him, because it's like if he's gifted like right in front of me, he's placed things, and I'm like, oh my goodness.
Right.
He might even be giving me what I asked for,
Right.
just to say hi. Because we can get super sidetracked and like super, like not talk to him as much as we
Right.
should be. But
Yeah.
I feel like maybe even now he's just giving me gifts and saying, hey, I'm right here. I'm
Right.
still here. I'm right here with you. And
Right.
but yeah,
That's awesome, man. And that's good you see it.
yeah.
Because you could have just, like, oh, thanks. All right, on to the next.
Yeah.
Like, you seem like you're, like, super grateful of, like, all that has given you. And
So
keeps
much.
continuing to give you. And it's like, yeah, it's like, you think back to that time at the park when you're looking up, and it's like, bro, all of it was for a reason.
It was,
like,
dude.
There's no such thing as coincidences. That's what I keep hearing. Yeah, man, to just keep going, bro. Like,
I know.
like, don't let the moms of York County,
Oh, hell nah. Oh, hell nah.
determine, how you're gonna live your life, because
Yeah.
I mean it's obvious. Like, if you just follow your dreams, like, you're just like,
It
bro.
sounds so simple. It sounds so simple, but like, it's true, dude. Like, it
Right.
sucks that of how like simple it sounds, but it's like, it's true.
Yeah.
Like, really tap in.
Yeah.
Like, really tap in.
Yeah, man. So then, we'll try to wrap it up here. But what advice would you have for, like, that kid that's about to graduate high school and is like, doesn't know what to do, or like is getting forced to go to school, like, that kid that doesn't know what to do, just like advice to you've basically said it this whole time.
I feel like I have. Yeah.
Yeah, but like, just real quick, like, what advice would you give somebody that's in that position?
I would say, I'm getting pretty close to this mic because I want them to hear it. I would say, whatever keeps you up at night, whatever like makes your heart beat faster, whatever like you feel something that you don't feel, that just anything gives you. But when you see, like, whether that be fashion or clothes or like sports, football, basketball, track, whatever it is, and you're just like kind of graduating high school, coming out of whatever it looks like, whatever your dream kind of consists of, like, go just remind yourself of, like, picture the people that are needed, find those people, keep them very, very close, because the encouragement and like the coaching and teaching needs to be there. Like, the environment needs to be set for you to succeed. And if that takes you setting your own environment, set it yourself. Really don't give up. Kind of find your route, find your path, find your people. And like, just haul as hard as you can. Like, as hard as you can. And if it like really, really makes you happy, you're going to go after it and you won't stop. Because if you stop, then you didn't love it enough. So just, wow. And if you don't have the environment right now, if you're very just, confined to a certain like walls of your bedroom, and you don't feel like, there's much out there, like, create that environment for yourself, create that decision, pray, and like ask God, just be like, God, like, help me figure this out, team up with me and help me figure this out. But yeah, if nobody's helping you right now, go get it yourself. You can do it. I believe. I believe God's got you, dude.
Yeah, man.
God's got you so good.
God's got you. Wow, man, that was awesome. That was a good word. Yeah, and then, I mean, dude, you basically just said all of it, but like, would you mind, I know I didn't really ask you about this, but like, would you mind like praying for the lost right now? That lost person.
Oh my goodness.
That lost person.
Wow. I totally can. Yeah.
All right, bro.
Yeah, God, I just thank you just for just this opportunity, for like whoever's hearing this or whoever's out there just kind of listening or watching. But Lord, I want to bless the ears on the other side. I want to let you know that he sees you, that he's in the room with you. I used to tell like kids that I would teach in like a small group, but just put your hand on your heart and like feel that heartbeat. If you can feel, I'll do it with you, but if you can feel that heartbeat, you're not controlling it. You're not making it make sense. You're not making it beat. But if you can feel that, that is the perfect example that he's living within you, and you're not alone. Whatever decision that you make is not going to be the end of the world. But he's that close. You can feel the heartbeat. You can't control it, but he does.
Come on.
So Jesus, I just bless whoever is on the other line, that he sees you. You're not alone.
Yes.
He's very, very close. So just breathe him in, breathe him out, breathe him in, breathe him out. I just pray for anybody that's just like a little confused with what's next for them, that they're just putting their full trust in you, putting their best foot forward in your direction. And I bless you guys. I bless whoever's listening and watching. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. That was awesome, bro.
Of course, bro.
And then my last question is, when is the culprit release date?
Oh my gosh. After this, I'll let you listen to it.
Okay.
But I wanted it to be this month, everybody. I really did. It was probably gonna be pushed back another month because I'm gonna be writing an album for somebody else. So
Nice.
I'm putting a little bit of my own stuff to the side at the moment, but probably as soon as next month, I'll have a song dropping. I'll probably do like a big, lead up to it. So stay tuned to everything.
Right.
I'm sure my socials will be somewhere in the video.
Right.
But yeah, probably like next month, maybe close to the end of next month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, man. And then just ending, plug whatever social media, your socials. How can they reach you?
Yeah.
And get in contact with you?
So probably best way to contact me is on Instagram. My Instagram is Brighton Halstead, BRIGHTON HALSTEAD, all one word on my Instagram. My DMs are always open if you need a friend. But yeah, that's probably the best. That's probably the best place to find. And just Brighton on Spotify, just capital B, and it should be the little profile picture that's black and white. And then that's the best way to describe it.
Right. Nice, dude.
Sweet.
Awesome. Well, man, thank you for coming out, man. This was dope.
This was so fun.
I think
dude.
this is gonna touch a lot of people. This is gonna be a good one. So yeah. So and then for me, for my socials, Brockline Films for Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I was talking to Brighton. Football season's coming up.
It's coming up.
We're about to be releasing some highlight videos.
Yes, Sirski.
And
Tap in.
So yeah, we're about to get that going. But yeah, I'm not sure. And then I was kind of thinking with the whole podcast thing. So this is episode number 10.
No way.
I might cap it here. I might cap it. Do like a end of season, and then regroup. Regroup because
Nice.
I kind of just I had a vision. And I just did it.
Yeah.
Like we were just talking about.
That's how it happens.
Got the vision and I just did it. And then it was definitely a lot of work. Scheduling, getting people here, but
communicating.
Communicating.
It's a lot.
And I just want to say thank you, especially to the guys that came and were on the show. Man, I appreciate you guys so much. Just believing, because this was just people were probably like, oh, what the heck's Brock doing now? With a podcast? What the heck?
It, bro.
So I think I've been thinking about it, but I think I might just cap it here and then, regroup, see what direction God wants me to go in as far as continuing it. Because I definitely want to continue it. Just, give some time, and then football season's coming up, so I'm going to be busy with that. So just, trusting in what his plan for me is, and we'll see what the future holds.
See what happens.
But until then, yeah, all my socials, and then this will be on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. So
No way.
yeah,
Come
bro,
on.
we're really we're doing it, man. So with that, thanks, bro.
Of course.
Appreciate you.
Anytime, bro.
It's official. Brock's here.